Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Stevie Gable-Carr, and I will be your host for today's webinar. We're going to give it a few minutes as people enter. 1 minute to be precise as we get going. All right. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you taking the time to invest in yourself and to invest in the network today as we are joined by Sophie Blum. I'm Stevie Gable-Carr, as I'd mentioned, and I'm founder and CEO of Wise Wellness Guild. We are a consultancy and media agency aimed at advancing humans through whole self wellness. We support over 400 businesses across 50 states and 9 countries. And I'm so excited because today's topic could not be more relevant for the work that I do in my day job. Before we get in, I just want to share a bit about the enrichment series and what we're all about. We're a monthly series where we aim to connect and engage the folks that are a part of the Alumni Network. We provide insights and we leverage the expertise and strengths of our alumni that are so proudly leading outside of Procter & Gamble. We're a nonprofit founded by P&Gers, former P&Gers to be exact, with 35,000 members and 45 chapters worldwide. We are connected and we are here to support one another. And I could not be more proud to remind everyone that in November, we will be in Washington, D.C. for our biannual conference, Meeting the Moment. This is November 2nd through 5th. And we are just really ecstatic to be able to share that we have so many amazing talent joining us here in the United States this year. So we will have several former CEOs. We've got leaders from across a lot of Fortune 100 companies. And we're really excited because we have so many incredible interdisciplinary connection opportunities for so many of you who will be flying in. Make sure that you check this out. I know that we are over 60% of capacity in our hotel bookings. So while that's really great news, I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to get your ticket and to be able to join us if you so wish. All right, so a little bit about Zoom webinars. I know that for some of you, this is not something that you do all the time. So if you want to ask a question, make sure that you put it into the chat. We know that in webinar format, it will just be Sophie and I, but it's important that we capture your questions and I can go ahead and reflect that. If you want it to be anonymous, I won't mention your name, just please send that as a direct message to me. So there's just a few questions here that we ask every time to make sure that everyone is participating. We know that here on the live, it is summertime. We know that it can be a little tricky to sneak away from vacations and join. So many of you, if you are joining via YouTube or live stream, please go ahead and answer these into the chat as you are answering, as we are very interested in these questions as well. So to start the first question, the first question is, are you a local P&G alumni network? Are you part of one? Go ahead and give it about 5 more seconds here. Thank you. All right, wonderful. We've got folks from all over who are interested in learning more. I highly suggest that you reach out to the network and we would be happy to put you in touch with your local network. Question number 2. What part of the world do you currently reside in? It'd be good to know so that way we can show up. Okay. Why is that not going? Okay. All right. Your primary occupation. Are these launching for you all? Can you see them? Okay, okay, stop sharing results. Let's try this one. Okay, there we go. Sorry. If you could please put in what part of the world you reside in. Thank you. Something happened with a glitch. Okay. Thank you. All right, we'll do this one. Your primary occupation, please. Sophie and I were chatting about this yesterday, about the mix. So I'm very interested to see who all has joined us here today. Yep, about right. There we go. Okay. And question number 4, and then we've got one more after this. What industry are you in? Okay. And last question is, what is your functional expertise? Okay, thank you so much for participating in that. I really appreciate it. And that's fantastic for us to be able to make sure we're meeting all of the network's needs as we plan for 2024. So I am so thrilled to dive into the meat of the conversation today here with Sophie Blum. Sophie is an incredible senior C-suite executive who specialized in growth strategy and successful implementation across various industries, organizations globally. Sophie is known for being a tech passionate, a pioneer, daring to challenge boundaries, and caring coach and mentor. In my short time that I've been able to meet Sophie, I think you will share in my sentiment that as her current role as Chief Marketing Officer, she is leading and paving the way at Puertos, but she is truly a transformational human. And I think that you'll see that a lot of those leadership skills kind of bleed into the conversation and really show you the type of person that she is. So Sophie, I'm so thrilled to have you here today and to be able to discuss a little bit about how we're really going to be able to leverage all of your robust insights from working in a large corporation, having the entrepreneurial spirit and background, and being able to really give some really great words of wisdom for folks who are seeking to lead in this rapidly changing environment.
Delighted to be with all of you today. I mean, thank you so much, Stevie, for the introduction. Very humbling, I must say. And, between P&G, we all have done something a bit unique. So I think that's wonderful. I'm really privileged to have had the opportunity to go through a lot of different type of role and personal experience. And today I would like just to set the tone. When we prepared, you and me, I told you I'm not someone that is giving lecture or lessons. I'm someone that is sharing experience and try to transmit what I've been able to learn in the last 35 years. So I think that's the spirit. So I hope it is inspiring and motivating you on the webinar to also ask questions, because that's really, I would say, the mindset and the dialogue that I would love to, to encourage you to have.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I am excited. Remember to put questions into the chat as we go through, and we'll incorporate them in as we discuss. So, and my first question for you, Sophie, you are so highly accomplished, leading many large and small organizations in your tenure, leading you to be named Ad Age's Europe's Women to Watch. Can you share key lessons you've learned from working in more entrepreneurial environments as well as larger ones? What are some of the big key takeaways that you feel like that you've really taken away from your experience?
Look, I mean, a bit of context to start with. It's always better to contextualize a bit. I'm going to share, and today it's really, a straight speech, and conversation. So I want to share, I would say, 2 game changers in my life, okay, that are contextualizing what I'm going to talk about. The first one, and not the least one, is, I would say, my husband. Eric. And why I'm sharing that, because we are a team, we consider our family as a startup. Okay, so, and now that we have 3 daughters, it's really the Blum team startup. And that's one, I would say, total game changer mindset. I would say that I have leveraged all my life. The second game changer professionally is my assignment in Israel for P&G, the startup nation, where we lived there for 10 years. So with this context, I think that's important to have in mind. You have asked me about lesson. I told you I will share experiences. Yeah. At least I'm going to share experiences that have impacted me the most, and that can maybe inspire some of the people in the audience. The first one, and I learned it a little bit the hard way, I must say, is the absolute necessity to be ambidextrous. You will tell me, what is ambidextrous? You're right, because I didn't know this so well before I experienced it. And I'm going to tell you a little short story. When we arrived in Israel, so 20 years ago, I was already more or less 15 years with P&G, pretty well formatted, 5 billion consumer a day, biggest FMCG, 170 years, $21 billion brands. So a pretty well-known and framed, I would say, positioning. And then here I am coming to a country that has no clue about the company, that is 1/3 of the company age. Okay, imagine the cultural shock. Okay, and you imagine the situation. Okay, so hey, hi, I'm from P&G. Who? Okay, no problem. Let me rewind. Okay, and in fact, coming from a culture where your business is anchored into fact-based and delivering today, to a culture that I would say everything is possible, looking at tomorrow, is a hell of, I would say, a challenge. And this is where, when you are a young GM, and you need to deliver 3 things: to deliver, I would say, market leadership, recruit the best, and give back to community. Just as simple as that. In fact, I learned that indeed being ambidextrous was key. Learning how to deliver today. We got, I would say, some very concrete example on market leadership. I mean, the P&G, maybe in the audience, will know I have 2 very concrete one. One was Ferry. We dared, Ferry is like down, so it's Andish at the time, a product of P&G. We dared, the team, not me, I did nothing. The team dared to challenge 40 years of market leadership of our key competitor, Colgate-Palmolive, in order to take over leadership. I call it the Caesar effect, and I wish you, to all of you, to have this experience in your business. In 10 years, they took back market leadership, 10 years only.
Wow.
Okay?
Oh
phenomenal. And this required this, I would say, ambidextrosity, capable to transform today deliverables, but also to have the courage and the vision to think, you know what? We're going to take on competition and not the smallest, and we're going to be market leader. So I think that was one mind-blowing. The second one that we had over there was to, I would say, dare to think that in a short period of time, we were able to build a local leadership team. And this required also a lot of ambidextrosity to be able to do with whatever we have, the smallest country in the world for P&G. So whatever brick and broc, as we say in French, that we were able to fix to a full-fledged leadership team that is fully local. And the third one was innovation. We dare to imagine the future. I'm going to give you an example that is going to make me sound extremely old. Okay,
By all means, go ahead.
Okay, so believe it or not, 15 years ago, one of the other business success was always, and all our work, I would say, with teenager girls. Okay, that's probably where I got very addicted to empowering young women. And believe it or not, this was the early days of internet and digital and so on. We had no clue. in PNG, what to do, right, left. And in fact, we created with what was at the time the leading content provider of Microsoft, which was MSN. So for you, it must be completely Chinese what I'm talking about, okay? And believe it or not, we had created the first ever branded content that was never created in the country. Here again, ambidextry, okay? Today and tomorrow. So those few, I would say, highlights in order to, I would say, to share this first lesson. The second one, which, I mean, that brings me to the second one, which is something I hope some of you will recognize themselves. Size doesn't really matter. And, you know, I didn't understand it very well at the time, but it's all about impact. And I don't know if we have a lot of entrepreneurs in the audience or people that will watch us, but I have had the privilege to do the big thing, PNG, the big thing, and the very small thing that was not even 100 euro of turnover. And we like it or not, what makes the difference is impact. And what I've learned for impact, we need three things. I will give you an example that is completely crazy. We need relevance, we need context, and we need passion. And the example I will give you is an example that is very unexpected from a young GM that goes to an unknown country that happens to be the smallest in the world, and that overall wonders how to move forward, what to do in order to recruit the best. I told you we expect to recruit the best. Then a group of 4 other crazy, some are still in PNG, some are not, Lital, Guy, Elena, Salomon, and myself. And we dare to think that the smallest countries in the world can open the first open ecosystem on innovation with startup 16 years ago. Of course, we had managed, I had managed to recruit 3 sponsors, our CIO, CTO, and CEO. That's true. But this, and you know, that's why from that moment on, it was 16 years ago, I have the proof that size doesn't matter, okay? The third one, I think that is worth sharing, curiosity is a superpower. And I don't know if we have parents. I've been a lot, my husband and I were very often, I would say, seen as a bit, you know, as a bit different or as a bit out of our mind. Okay, that happens. I told you, I mean, we were a team. So in any case, never mind if others believe that we were out of our mind. And why? Because from very early on, we were never afraid to explore new field. And we have tried to transmit this, I would say, curiosity to our 3 daughters. And people thought that really we were out of our mind when we sent, I would say, Esther, she was 12 years old, to go to India to build a school for unprivileged, I would say, children for 1 month. But she was not alone. She was fully surrounded. But people were thinking that we were completely out of our mind when we sent Leah to north of the US in a camp by herself. She was 11. And people were crazy when we left Israel and Sarah, our oldest, stayed there alone. She was 17 years old. And I'm sharing that because that's probably what is expressing the, I would say, also one of my learnings, which is not being afraid of different culture.
Yeah. It sounds like not being afraid of experience.
Yeah.
Right? Because even if there are bad experiences or different experiences or amazing experiences, it's something that you aren't going to and your family aren't going to grow from unless they actually are in it. And that's incredible.
And I think that even today, in Puratos, I've joined not so long ago, a phenomenal story. I'll tell it at the end probably, but a fabulous opportunity to make an impact in society. So that's why I joined. But, some people come to me and from marketing or commerce or even R&D, and some people fear sometimes the experience or the unknown. And I think there is not a better gift than to go to the unknown. You've seen a little bit how I travel. Last week I was in Buenos Aires, 2 weeks ago in Denmark, 3 weeks ago in Belgium, 4 weeks ago in the UK. I mean, this is part of, I would say, creating the experience, I would say, and the success.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh. Go on. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, I know you have shared with me that you have, I would say, a little crunch for tech.
I do. Yes. And I think that when you talk about fear, one of the things that I have found when I am having conversations, especially in the healthcare or health and wellness space with my company, is there's so much fear surrounding AI and the use of data and tech to advance us. There's a lot of people that feel very negative about that. But what I think is just so beautiful of what you said is, that there's this bigger opportunity for us at hand and a responsibility. I'd love to know a little bit about how you have done that maybe in your own life and maybe your organization to really transform your organization's culture around adopting tech, and maybe even how you've transformed the way that your clients see you because of that.
A wonderful topic. Let's start maybe by something that may be a bit controversial. For me, and I will give context just after, for me, tech is a driver of inclusion. Okay, so tech, and I will go to AI specifically because I have a little crunch for AI. Tech is definitely a driver of inclusion. I am obsessed by inclusion, you understand, by my personal history, and therefore I cannot accept or even, I would say, face exclusion because of tech. Okay, so that's the story of my life. And I think that what is really fabulous is the first time, we talked about curiosity. 15 years ago, the first time I was exposed to AI. And I use that also for client today and interaction today. I was exposed to AI with one of my guys. I had created an habit in the office to have a weekly, I would say, learning lunch that the people would come and teach me something. Okay, because I said that if they don't come and when you become a GM, people always say yes, 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 but it's a disaster because at the end of the day, you don't know exactly what is real, what is not real, so you need to learn, to permanently learn. Otherwise, you are not relevant anymore, which for me is this. So in order not to die, okay, so I had organized all this. And one day, one of the guys popped up. And he said, okay, today I'm going to teach you AI. What is AI? I have no idea, 15 years ago, so I have no idea. He said, okay, Sophie, you always tell us data. We understand data. I'm going to give you insight, and very fast. And then all of a sudden, I swear to God, Stevie, all of a sudden he comes with 50,000 data points, okay, in Excel. I said, what do you want me to do with that? He said, you cannot do a lot, huh? I said, no, I cannot do anything with all this data for sure. Excel, I will never forget. He said, okay, I need Azure. At the time, this cloud was not very popular, but I remind you that the cloud was invented in Israel a little bit more than 20 years ago. And so he came with the cloud, and then he said, look, we're going to put all these data points and give me a few seconds, and I will show you what it says. And then I said, this guy is fully drunk. completely out of his mind. We have no chance. Okay, never mind. It's a nice lunch. Why not? And then, you know what? He shows me a segmentation. He shows me cluster of bubbles. So of course, at first I say, okay, fine, very nice, you cheat me. I mean, you have prepared all these drawings. And then as we go, I see that this makes a lot of sense and there is a sense to that. And then from then I said, wow, that's definitely giving superpower for sure, and a key driver in order to understand a little bit what's going on. And I think that what was I would say a key with customers, with people, is how do we use AI? And I'm going to talk about semantic AI. Do you know, Stevie, what is semantic AI?
I don't believe so.
Alors, semantic, science of words.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And AI, so artificial intelligence applied to the science of words.
Okay.
What can we do with that? In my profession, origin profession, before I was a GM and more corporate and so on, I started as a marketeer for P&G, you know, CMK, insights, consumer understanding, qualitative, quantitative, diary, all kinds of techniques. Now, what is fabulous by understanding insights is that you really are in contact with insights. What is very frustrating is that it's not really scalable. So
right.
it's really one conversation at a time or one consumer immersion at a time. Okay, but when you deal with, today in Puratos, for example, we have 100 countries like P&G, and Puratos, contrary to P&G, is even more centralized, and they want everything to be, I would say, understood. So how do you deal with that? But with semantic AI, in fact, what is fabulous is that it structure what is unstructured, which is a conversation, and gives you, if you want, classified type of insights, learning. So you want to know what are the upcoming trends in food, in bread. You like bread?
Of course.
Do you know sourdough?
Yeah.
Sourdough bread. Okay. The trend is the number 2 most discussed, I would say, item on social media in North America. Okay.
Really?
You really, okay. And in fact, what is coming now is that consumer perceive that sourdough is not only healthy, but more sustainable. Okay. Almost 7 consumers out of 10 in North America believe that sourdough is healthier for the body, does good to the gut, and is good for the planet. Okay. Now, how can I tell you that? Okay, quantitatively, by leveraging semantic AI.
Wow.
Okay. And then I'm saying that because in a full transparency, you ask me, how can how do we help, I would say, customers, so professional in the industry, or consumers or colleagues, to be included in the revolution, in the digital and more specifically AI revolution. And I think in the title of the discussion, there is a big word, very big, in the middle, which is called trust. And trust, because trust is fundamental and foundational in order to lead change. And in fact, what I just did with semantic AI, I have tried to unpeel the onion to make it extremely transparent and simple in order to get you with me on the journey.
Yes.
Now, you see, and from you can be a consumer, you can be a customer, a professional. I work a lot with big industrial that want to know what is the upcoming trend in, in patisserie, in sweet goods, in morning goods, or in chocolate. I can always improvise qualitative data. But with semantic AI, I can easily, I would say, structure the unstructured, come up with the trends, and apply some modeling in order to have the upcoming trends. Doing that without appearing like a black box or being very, very, I would say, extremely humble and with very accessible, I would say, concept is a way to get acquainted. The second thing I would say is that none of us, we all have, let's put it that way, a responsibility, especially the PNG, that I really consider like a phenomenal crowd, a privilege to have all those colleagues. We cannot authorize to leave anyone behind.
Yes.
We cannot authorize that. This is really, we cannot have a society where people are not at ease with AI and with what AI can do. It is not scary. It is amplifying. It is enhancing our understanding.
And we understand that the more that we engage in people who don't look like me and people who don't look like you and the people that need to be served and that this can really advance innovation for, need to participate in as well to combat the inherent bias that AI will have, right? Because AI is a reflection of society. And I think that that's the part that, as I hear people saying, oh, this just feels like another language, it's another thing to learn, not being a part of it, I think is somewhat irresponsible. There's a social responsibility, I think, that we all have to just at least learn a little bit, because it really is going to transform the way that not only we innovate, but also that we receive information and that we are like the way that we integrate as a part of our lives, I think will end up being vastly different here in the next, 5 years.
Absolutely. And I think there is nothing to be afraid of. It's just, I would say, shaping data in such a way that it does part of the job that is boring like hell that we should do. If you put it that way, The other thing that I think is very powerful on healthcare, so you've worked on healthcare. I have also worked a little bit on some contextual semantic in order to contextualize a bit, because on healthcare you cannot do targeted media in Europe at least, and in fact leveraging the power of AI and semantic AI in order to address the center of interest of consumers is absolutely mind-blowing, and definitely allows to speed up and to scale, I would say, in a very crazy manner.
I think that's amazing. And I know one of the questions that I have, and if you do have any questions, please place them into the chat. One of my big questions is in relation to learning. We know that women in STEAM are at the highest rate of burnout of any industry or kind of core profession space. And that is not new information, but it is rapidly, it is expanded. We have more women going into STEAM, but more women dropping out of STEAM at a very high rate, which is leaving women like you who are leading in this space to be quite a unicorn, right? It's very rare that we will find somebody. So, how do you feel? Are there some things that you think that we, when I say we, meaning the network, can do to support women in STEAM? And are there things that are women like myself who are entering tech unbeknownst to where I didn't expect to be a tech founder, and here I am. Is there any advice that you might give to me specifically in order to ensure that I can kind of hunt and I can be, I can ride the wave?
I think, I also didn't think I would end up in tech. That's true, and so here I am also, and I think probably this is our destiny to drive, definitely, I would say, inclusion for society, because I think I have a bit reflected on that, because it's not a scientific answer I'm going to give. I also discussed a little bit with my daughters, that are the most I would say challenging business partner I have, and I think that I think there is something that we have sometimes the impression that everything needs to be perfect, and that I would say tech is a world where it will give us the opportunity to have it perfect. And I think it's completely the opposite. And why so? Because in fact, It's a complete wrong assumption. In tech, the possibilities are infinite.
Yes.
And in fact, what it gives really what I call multidimensional possibilities. And it's true that this can overwhelm. And when I would say this is coming through, be it the data point, be it the type of software, being the type of use cases, it's from where you start. And very often women have this sense of perfection and being trained to overall make it happen, okay, deliver the mission, whatever the mission. And I think that this is where there is a mismatch sometimes, and this frustration that can go, unfortunately, to the burnout, of course, of impossibility just to make it perfect. And in those specific, I would say, moments, I think what has helped me a lot and is easier said than done, though, is this notion of purpose. What it is that I'm trying to achieve. Alors, me personally, or not necessarily me, but the company I'm in, or the family project, or the friends, but really trying to think what it is that I'm pursuing and why I ended up in tech. There is no coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. Okay. When I first told you, I think AI is a driver of inclusion, I think I found my purpose, which was to, I would say, very early on, to rebel against anyone that would say that there is technology that is not accessible, to create a closed jargon and an area where people cannot enter and benefit. And I think that finding the purpose is something that is certainly helping a lot. Now, I can also put it in very simple terms, as Covey would say, start with the end in mind. When it fluctuates a little bit all over, why we are in business for? In Puratos, when I joined, the first mission from the CEO and the shareholders were, Sophie, help us express explicitly our purpose. Now I did nothing except getting it out, but it was something that was there. But in order, it was more or less a 2 billion company. Now they want to be a 5 billion company. In order, they all felt, because they are super smart and they know exactly what was missing, they all felt that they had to be more explicit about where to go in order not to be overwhelmed by the magnitude of the input. And I think it's the same in STEM.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit what I would think, answering your question.
I think it's so interesting, because so many people who started out I know so many chemical engineers that are GMs now, and I know, but they're by way of marketing, right? And it was almost as though the one thing about it is interesting in P&G, I wonder if AI will transform the structure of businesses as well, knowing that we had a highly, in-depth R&D organization and a highly in-depth marketing organization, and those two came together and worked together, but it was very clear that there was the division, right, of those two areas. And I do think that this concept of there's no story without data and no data without a story, and leaning into that a bit more and understanding that you can have both of those. It doesn't have to be an either or. I think will probably be the future of how we look at innovation and advancements.
Absolutely.
And I think being comfortable too, one thing that I always think about with women is that we do tend to be more risk averse, as we've mentioned, right? That we are, when we talk about financial models and we talk about, investments. Statistically speaking, we tend to be a, set it and forget it with our retirement and things like that. And I think that the very similar is that the risk of failure seems so much bigger. But if you do understand your purpose and you understand your values, that maybe that's the thing that keeps you willing to fail and willing to be wrong and willing to maybe not get it perfect. And I think that there's something really wonderful in that of, if you very much know yourself, then it doesn't really matter. None of those things matter, I guess.
I totally agree. And I would offer two thoughts over there, which is, no, it's not anymore about wrong or right.
Mhm.
It's really about, I would say, what is the growth ahead? What is coming ahead? And in order to somehow move forward, you need a journey of experiences.
Mhm.
And those experiences are more or less difficult to swallow.
Yes.
And yes, it's sometimes you feel like, oh my God, I will never manage to overcome this. Or and on those moments, this is where I want to share the second thought. Again, coming back to the core of the topic, which is trust. How trust is foundational to transform. It's trust about in the people and trust in the future. And it's not small, I would say, words I'm saying here. It's true that I have decided to be an optimist and to live and to transmit positive energy. That's true. It's not that one day God gave me a gift and said, this one, she will be positive. I have intentionally decided to say, in French, we say, the glass half full.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And yes, I have decided to be an optimist toward the future, to be an optimist toward the people, and to transmit positive energy to create trust. And be it at work, in Puratos now, we are in the middle of a wonderful transformation with data, AI, and digital. Imagine, I would say 5 years ago, no turnover online. Today, already 300 million euro online for a company, 2 billion. So the transformation is happening. Of course, a lot of pitfall, a lot of challenges, but trust that I would say the future is bright, that the people want to do well, and to transmit this energy to the organization, for me, is no matter if it is a big one or if it is a startup, because I have a lot of startup in the portfolio, it's the same thing. When the founder of the startup is coming back from a meeting with the potential customers, that the investor said, you need to bring them, otherwise we don't move forward with the next round of funding. And when the founder comes back with not having closer customers, and then he's watching you in, saying, I cannot transform the stage of the startup because I will not get the fund to scale. At this precise moment, this is where he needs to feel your trust, and he needs to feel your energy, your optimism, in order to find the solution. And you know what? It always works. They always find the next stage. But
Yes.
at this precise moment, there is a need of, I would say, trust to be able to pivot and to lead the transformation.
I think that that's wonderful. You had said previously, I wrote these down, that relevance, context, and passion are so crucial. as a part of how we think about, you know, as a company, but I think also about how you can create that trust. You know, I really do think that there's moments for that passion. That passion cultivates optimism. It cultivates the respect for the concept. And I think that there's a real part of that that's so much about the human spirit that we don't give enough credit to anymore. Of course, you can't build a business just on passion. It needs to be, you know, a well-rounded concept. If that were the case, I would probably have a business on like raising senior dogs or something like that in my backyard. You know, like probably not a viable business proposition, but I'm really passionate about it. But I do think that there's a humanness to that quality that is something that is, you know, we oftentimes left out of the tech conversation. That when we talk about you being a tech passionate pioneer, that's it's important to remember how human tech is becoming, but like has to be to survive, truly.
Absolutely, and there is nothing more important than I would say, and that's why I'm so obsessed by driving inclusion through tech. Actually, is at the end of the day, we like it or not. Now, for me, it's day to day because on the B2B industry, which is, by the way, B2B2C, actually, human, I would say, relationship is key. But without this human empathy and the ability to connect dots unexpectedly, there is no breakthrough. Okay, the machine cannot do that for you. Yes. It has to be at the right moment, at the right, I would say, with the right audience in the right context. I mean, in one of the startups that where I invested, I mean, 15 years ago, they were very much working. I mean, working with us on some surveys, a kind of modern type of survey, so CMK, a kind of really a nice understanding of how to do in a modern form surveys. And then they saw that this was interesting, but all of a sudden they started to interact a lot with people surveyed and with clients and so on, and they understood that survey is very limited as a field. Mm-hmm. What is not limited is engagement with consumers, and that survey was a mean to engage with consumer. Okay, and they pivoted, and then they went big and so on, and it was exactly the right pivot, but without the human insight of understanding that in fact it is about the engagement and how interested I am in your tool, and I want to answer your question because I'm growing with this. I'm doing something good to me, rather than wasting my time to answer for you. Yeah. Is I think very central how we should look at tech in general. That's voilà, and then. What more exciting and fulfilling than, you know, to be able to press a button and to understand what consumers think in 50 countries. That's overwhelming.
It truly is, and I think has been something that, you know, when I am having conversations with folks in the pharmaceuticals industry or in health innovation, I think that being able to also have predictive qualities with having small startups have the same capabilities now as these larger, bigger companies is so amazing because they're solving for niche problems that have true impact. And you don't think that, you think, oh, they're solving for a small base size. It's something that a large company would never look at, right? Because the size of prize just isn't there, but it is saving and transforming lives in a way that has such a large impact when you really look at it, that I get very excited about. And one of the pieces, you know, they're doing work in predictive modeling of disease progression and being able to look at pharmacogenomics to determine the right mixture of pharmaceuticals and formulation for one's DNA, right? So like those are two great examples of how this has been able to help individuals. But I think that even taking it to your industry, I get very excited about things that, like you said, the sourdough bread is such a great example. There's so much that you could do in terms of not only predicting trends, but also, you know, predicting allergens and the progression of how health and wellness and food, talk about food as medicine, just, it kind of blows my mind. I get very excited about how much you can leverage something like this that consumers are never going to explicitly tell you. You'll never learn about it as we, you know, are exploring, you know, how we interact and engage with consumers real time. And social listening will probably never tell you that. It's about, you know, analyzing their behaviors and the subconscious things that they do. So very, very exciting things you're working on and leading. I can't wait to learn more. If you do have any questions, please place them into the chat. I had one sent to me, Sophie. So we'll go ahead and close that out. So one of the questions was when you were leaving P&G and heading into your next role, what did you find most surprising in a good or bad way from when you left Procter & Gamble and moved into your next role in terms of from a tech lens?
That's a great question. There were two types of learnings and I would say experience that I had at the time. The first one is the excitement and relatively easy. So I was very surprised. Excitement of the new, of being very, to put things into context, I spent almost 30 years in P&G. I mean, I had a dream career. Okay, so I've had the privilege to do everything one can dream of, up to things that are completely unexpected. So, but there is a moment where, and I'm not the kind of person that is going to retire. That's I don't know that, and my parents never did it, and my grandparents neither. So it was not the kind of P&G profile. You know, some they are saying, well, more or less, we have enough. That's okay. The stock option will manage and so on. I didn't belong to this group. So of course, there is a moment you need to jump. I thought it would be very difficult, but in fact, the excitement of jumping into tech and to found a company with partners on tech was crazy. It was so exciting. I was probably out of my mind, I must say, because I found myself trying to restructure, purchase company, I mean, whatever, but fabulous. So it was so overwhelming that I think I forgot a little bit the stress of leaving P&G. Okay, so I think that was very helpful because it was so busy in my head that I couldn't just say, oh la la, it's not organized, it's not P&G, where is this, where is that? So that's the positive side. Now, it's true also that sometimes I didn't realize how much P&G ecosystem is a cotton ball. Okay, it's but on a lot of logistic things, you know, stupid logistic things, I don't know, insurance, I don't know, some stuff that were very logistical. And then I was saying, yeah, that's a good question. But this, it took me a while. And then as a good person, I learned my way through and that's it. And built my own, I would say, a story. The other thing is I nurtured a group of, for me, P&G is a family, regardless whatever a P&G need, I'm there. Okay, so, and you need to know that, I mean, all of you, and I don't know who will listen and so on. So not so long ago, a colleague that I didn't work with called me and told me, look, Sophie, my daughter is graduating on food scientist. I looked on your companies. It seems to be a fit. I said, of course, send the summary, send the resume. I got her in. Of course, she's super happy. She has her stuff and so on. So I always had this sense of family that is very strong and all over the world. So, you know, that's, I love. And this, I had always kept very strong ties with P&G or alumni. And it was nice.
Oh,
It is still nice. It's, I don't know how to say. And at the beginning, sometimes I was wondering, maybe I cannot share that to non-P&G and so on. But I have crossed this moment. And it's with pride that we are a family, and so be it. That's the way it is. I mean, so that's a bit. I don't know if it helps on your question, but
oh, absolutely. Any other questions as we kind of wrap up? I think that is such a great way to end this discussion today, though, because I truly believe that, you know, when I left P&G, I was very nervous about losing access to the community. And you know, you realize a lot about not only the caliber of people's intelligence, but also truly about their values. That was the thing that I really admired most. So it became the strongest network beyond any collegiate degree or alumni network that I could have of people that I knew were in direct alignment with my values, no matter where I went in the world. And I feel so grateful. That's why I'm involved. And that's such a great, like I said, way to kind of end this, because I really do want to thank you so much, Sophie, for being here and sharing all of your wisdom, your thoughts. If you have any questions, anybody who is watching this at a later time, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll connect you with Sophie. She is on LinkedIn, and we'll go ahead and share out this on YouTube and on our platform. I do want to remind you that Meeting the Moment conference, we would love to see you in Washington, D.C. on November 2nd through 5th. Please feel free to register as soon as possible. Early bird tickets are going fast, and all of the hotels, as I've mentioned, are getting ready to close out. But it's going to be sure to be such an impactful opportunity to meet people as a part of this network that maybe you haven't met before. Thank you so much. And I just ask that if you do have the opportunity, if you've joined today, please complete the survey that we send to you so we can continue to optimize and bring incredible talent to these that serve your needs. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you, Sophie.
again. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.